Just like we typically do on this channel, we're going to start off the new year with a new list. In case this is your first time tuning in to The Distaste, we're going to be going over the most despised players currently in the game. We'll go over the big picture as to why they're hated and specific incidents that have taken place to cause it. And with that, here are the top 7 most hated players of 2024. Known as a defenseman that plays a rather old-school brand of hockey, Jacob Trouba has been no stranger to controversy. Even though hockey fans can't help but marvel at his hits, several of them have caused injury. From Sidney Crosby to Seth Jarvis to Yuki Hara, Trouba has managed to hit his opponents in such a way that they're either concussed or, in some cases, needing a stretcher. However, this isn't the only reason why many fans outside of NYC aren't fond of the Rangers captain. Outside of being Cronwall reincarnated, Trouba has also been known to use his elbow a good time or two. Nearly a year ago, for example, the defenseman targeted Yoel Armia in an area where players naturally don't have any protection. And most recently, Trouba was fined for taking a baseball-like swing at Trent Frederick's head. So yes, a very polarizing player indeed. Usually, either you love Trouba and defend his antics completely, or you despise him and everything he does. There's not a lot of in between. When it comes to Tom Wilson, similarly to Brad Marchand, he's the player you love to hate, but secretly would want on your team, as Wilson has played with a bite to his game since his rookie season in 2013. And by bite, I mean Wilson has a very long, lengthy list of players he's injured due to his negligence. Similarly to Trouba, NHL fans have been subjected to watching Wilson walk away unscathed and receive zero discipline for his actions on multiple occasions. Braden Shen and the Libomir Wisnowski incidents are just a couple that come to mind. Therefore, more than anyone on this list, Wilson is here because despite the time that's passed, NHL fans haven't forgotten Wilson's past antics. Even though he's mostly cleaned up his act in the latter stages of his career, Wilson occasionally does something to remind fans as to why he's on their shit list. Earlier in the season, Wilson's sucker punch against Jackets captain Boone Jenner was an example that came to mind. Known as a referee's worst nightmare, Michael Bunting has been caught diving on multiple occasions on hopes of drawing a call. Not only that, but last season Bunting stirred up even more controversy by not getting off of the ice after the buzzer had sounded. And as far as his opponents are concerned, Bunting was recently suspended this last postseason for elbowing Erik Chernak in the face, causing a concussion. Even when his suspension ended, head coach Sheldon Keefe didn't even want to let Bunting play for Game 6. This shows that there was some trust broken, and not only with Keefe, but also the Leafs fan base, as Bunting, following his reckless behavior, was shunned similarly to Nazem Kadri before him by his own fans. For now, Bunting has managed to put his head down and play pretty effectively in Carolina, which has a reputation for being able to manage players that have attitude issues. Pretty much ever since Evander Kane was drafted by Atlanta back in 2009, the forward has been in the spotlight for a myriad of reasons. From multiple disputes with teammates to filing for bankruptcy and forging COVID documents, Kane has been an NHL reporter's dream come true. However, after Kane was signed by the Edmonton Oilers, his off-ice behavior has seemed to turn around for the better. Even still, Kane has been involved in a few on-ice incidents deemed controversial. From his hit that injured defenseman Jonas Brodin to his classless choice to keep punching Keegan Colasar last playoffs, Kane still isn't in some NHL fans' good graces. And the fact that Kane only has 2 points in his last 11 games also probably isn't sitting well either with the Oilers fan base. I feel like this one is kind of just a no-brainer at this point. Known for his prolific amount of meltdowns, more than anything, Jordan Binnington is and has been a loose cannon since day one. Outside of his lengthy list of incidents prior to, Binnington's most recent headline came about against the Minnesota Wild. After being scored on by Ryan Hartman, the netminder lashed out and punched the forward with his blocker, resulting in a suspension from player safety. The cringiest part of the whole ordeal was the fact that he felt the urge to pump up the crowd after randomly jumping a guy. Anyways, in summary, Binnington is viewed as a crybaby by fans that throws tantrums when something doesn't go his way. Even though yes, it's easy to troll a player with such a temperament, I have to admit, just like Brad Marchand, his antics are very entertaining to watch. Definitely one of the best when it comes to getting under players' skin, Matthew Tkachuk has perfected the art of being a rat. Known as Rathu by some and Turtle Boy by others, Tkachuk has given spectators plenty of reasons to despise him. Going back to his rookie season, Tkachuk was already making enemies. As most of us can recall, the forward elbowed Drew Doughty in the face, and years later took a run at Zach Kassian as well. Tkachuk is known for trying to stir and oftentimes cowering once the retaliation catches up with him. One of the more recent incidents that Tkachuk was fined for took place during last year's finals. Tkachuk, who saw an opportunity, sucker punched Nicholas Hague, who was at the time held up by an official. Most of you watching had to see this one coming, as Brad Marchand has been relentlessly tormenting his opponents by any means necessary for over a decade. From licking to slew-footing to flat-out trolling, Marchand, similarly to Tkachuk, has a way of causing the most composed players to absolutely lose their shit. Most recently, his slew foot against Timothy Liljegren that went completely unnoticed by player safety caused a stir throughout the NHL community. Liljegren, who was injured on the play, didn't receive any sort of justice from his teammates or even officials for that matter. Besides Liljegren, Oliver Bjorkstrand was another player that recently fell victim to Marchand's classless antics. Despite taking on the role of team captain, Marchand has proven that once a rat, always a rat. In conclusion, this list did seem to change slightly from last year's, with the main changes being Tom Wilson dropping significantly and Michael Bunting being added to the mix. A notable absence is Tony DeAngelo. I didn't add DeAngelo this year because he hasn't been playing many games at all this season due to being benched. He's only participated in around a half of all contests so far, therefore I didn't see it fair in that case to include him. However, that still doesn't keep him from being an honorable mention. If you like this video, I'd love it if you could hit the subscribe button, as that really helps the channel. And if you're already subscribed and would like to support my work further, consider joining my Patreon, with plans that start at just $1 a month and include perks such as unseen analytics, video previews, and monthly shoutouts. If you'd like to support me, simply click the link below to get started. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.